The ship pulled into New York Harbor on a gray morning in September 1945. I should have been celebrating. The war was over. We'd won. I was alive. I was going home. Instead, I stood at the rail and felt nothing. William Hayes. Bill. I was 24 years old. I'd left home 3 years earlier as a boy who thought he understood the world. I was coming back as something else entirely. I grew up in a small town in upstate New York, the kind of place where everyone knows everyone, where you leave your doors unlocked and your neighbors are like family. My father owned a hardware store. My mother taught piano. I had a younger brother, Tommy, who worshipped me, followed me everywhere, wanted to be just like me. I was supposed to go to college, had a scholarship, was going to study engineering, build bridges, build things that lasted, things that mattered. But then Pearl Harbor happened. December 7th, 1941. Everything changed. I enlisted 3 days later, didn't tell my parents first, just went down to the recruitment office and signed my name. My mother cried for a week. My father shook my hand, but I could see the fear in his eyes. Tommy thought I was a hero, begged to come with me. I told him to stay in school, told him the war would be over by the time he was old enough. I was wrong about that, wrong about a lot of things. They made me an infantryman, sent me to basic training in Georgia, then to England, then to France on D-Day +30. I missed the beach, thank God. But I saw plenty after that. The hedgerows, the Hürtgen forest, the Battle of the Bulge, the push into Germany. 3 years of war. 3 years of killing and watching friends die and learning that the world is nothing like what they tell you in school or church or anywhere else. 3 years of becoming someone I didn't recognize. I made friends. You do that in war. You have to. Survival depends on the men next to you. There was Eddie Martinez from New Mexico. Funny guy. Could make you laugh even when everything was terrible. And Jack Peterson from Minnesota. Quiet guy. Farm kid like so many of us. And Sam Cohen from Brooklyn. Smart. Always reading when he got the chance. Talked about opening a bookstore after the war. Eddie died at the Bulge. Shrapnel from a German shell. Bled out in the snow while we tried to save him. Jack made it to Germany. Stepped on a mine outside Cologne. Gone in an instant. Sam survived until April. Sniper got him 2 weeks before the surrender. 2 weeks. I was the lucky one. I made it through. Some wounds. Nothing serious. Nothing that wouldn't heal. At least not the physical ones. When Germany surrendered in May, we celebrated. Got drunk. Sang songs. Acted like the nightmare was over. But it wasn't over. Not really. The war in Europe had ended, but the war inside us was just beginning. They kept us there through the summer. Occupation duty, processing prisoners, helping rebuild, trying to figure out what came next. I walked through destroyed German cities, saw the rubble, saw the refugees, saw what total war does to a country. I also saw the camps, the concentration camps. We liberated one in April. I can't talk about that. Won't talk about that. Some things are too dark to put into words. But I saw it. Saw what humans are capable of. And I can never unsee it. In August, they started sending us home. The war with Japan ended. Really ended. No more fighting. No more dying. We'd won. Saved the world. Made it safe for democracy. So why did I feel like I'd lost something? The troop ship was packed, thousands of us, GIs heading home. Most were celebrating, drinking, laughing, planning their futures, jobs, families, college on the GI Bill, fresh starts. I stood at the rail and watched the water. Thought about Eddie and Jack and Sam. Thought about all the men who weren't on this ship, who'd never come home, who'd never get their fresh starts. And I wondered what I was supposed to do now. How I was supposed to go back to the life I'd left. How I was supposed to pretend that the last 3 years hadn't happened. That I was still the same person who'd left. The Statue of Liberty appeared through the fog. Everyone rushed to the rail, cheering, crying, taking pictures, coming home. I looked at her and felt empty, because I knew the truth. I wasn't coming home. I was just bringing this broken thing that used to be William Hayes back to the place where he used to live. But home? Home was gone. Had been gone since the first time I pulled a trigger. Since the first time I watched a friend die. Since the first time I realized that everything I'd believed about the world was a lie. The ship docked. They played bands, waved flags, called us heroes, welcomed us home. But you can't welcome home someone who's already dead inside. The train ride upstate felt surreal. Everything looked the same. The trees, the fields, the small towns we passed through. Like the war had never happened. Like the world had been paused while we were gone, and now someone had pressed play. But I had changed. Everything looked smaller somehow, less significant. What did these peaceful towns matter when I'd seen cities reduced to rubble? What did these quiet fields matter when I'd seen fields soaked with blood? My family was waiting at the station. I saw them through the window before the train stopped. My mother in her Sunday dress. My father in his suit. Tommy, taller now, almost 17, nearly a man. My mother ran to me when I stepped off, threw her arms around me. I stood there stiffly, couldn't return the embrace, didn't know how anymore. She pulled back, looked at my face. I saw something in her eyes. Recognition. She knew. Somehow she knew that her son hadn't really come home. William, she whispered. Just my name, nothing else. What else was there to say? My father shook my hand. Firm grip, man to man. Welcome home, son. His voice cracked on the last word. He cleared his throat, looked away. Tommy stared at me, his hero, his big brother. But I could see the confusion in his eyes. I wasn't what he'd expected. Wasn't the William who'd left. I was thinner, harder, older, had eyes that had seen too much. Did you kill anyone? He asked. Young, stupid, excited. My mother gasped. Tommy? I looked at my little brother, saw the eagerness, the curiosity, the same eagerness I'd had 3 years ago. And I wanted to hit him, wanted to scream at him, wanted to make him understand that killing isn't glorious or exciting or anything but horrible. Instead, I said nothing, just turned and walked toward the car. The drive home was silent. My mother tried to make conversation, asked about the ship, about the food, about the weather, safe questions. I gave short answers. Yes, fine, okay. Eventually, she stopped asking. The house looked exactly the same. Same white paint, same front porch, same flower boxes my mother tended. I'd dreamed about this house, about coming home to it. But standing here looking at it, I felt like an intruder, like I didn't belong. They'd prepared a welcome home dinner, all my favorite foods, pot roast, mashed potatoes, apple pie. The table was set with the good china. My father opened a bottle of wine he'd been saving. I couldn't eat. The food tasted like ash. My stomach was in knots. The dining room felt too small, too crowded. I kept looking at the windows, the doors, exit routes. Couldn't help it. 3 years of combat instinct doesn't just turn off. Are you all right, dear? My mother asked. You're barely eating. I'm fine, I lied. Just tired. Of course. You must be exhausted. Why don't you go rest? Your room is exactly as you left it. I excused myself, climbed the stairs, opened the door to my room. She was right. It was exactly as I'd left it. My bed, my desk, my books, my pennants on the wall, my baseball glove on the dresser. a shrine to a boy who no longer existed. I sat on the bed. It was soft, too soft. I'd been sleeping on the ground, on cots, on whatever was available. This felt wrong, decadent. I got up, lay down on the floor. That felt better, more familiar. I didn't sleep, just lay there staring at the ceiling, listening to the quiet. It was too quiet. No artillery, no engines, no men snoring or talking or crying out from nightmares. Just silence. The silence was worse than the noise. Around midnight, I heard footsteps in the hall. My father. He paused outside my door. Didn't knock. Didn't come in. Just stood there for a moment. Then walked away. He knew, too. They both knew. Their son hadn't come home. A stranger wearing his face had come instead. The next morning, neighbors started coming by. Wanted to welcome me home. Shake my hand. Hear stories. Mrs. Henderson from next door brought cookies. Mr. Jacobs from down the street wanted to know about the fighting. The minister wanted me to speak at church, share my experiences, inspire the youth. I couldn't do it. Couldn't pretend. Couldn't smile and shake hands and tell sanitized stories about the war. Couldn't inspire anyone with the truth of what I'd seen and done. I started making excuses. Told my mother I needed rest, needed time to adjust. She ran interference for me, turned people away, made my apologies. But I could see the hurt in her eyes, the confusion. She didn't understand why I wasn't happy to be home. How could I explain? How could I tell her that happiness felt wrong? That I didn't deserve to be happy when Eddie and Jack and Sam were dead? That every moment of comfort felt like a betrayal? Tommy kept trying to talk to me, wanted stories, wanted to know what it was really like. I'd find him looking at me, studying me, trying to reconcile the brother who left with the stranger who came back. One evening, he cornered me on the porch. "What was it like?" he asked. "The fighting." I looked at him, really looked at him. 16 years old, eager, innocent. Everything I used to be. "It was loud," I said, "and it hurt. But you were a hero, right? You won battles, you saved people." Hero. That word again. Everyone kept using that word, like it meant something, like it explained something. "I'm not a hero, Tommy. I'm just someone who didn't die. There's a difference." He looked hurt, confused. "But go inside," I said. Not angry, just tired. "Go inside and don't ever enlist. Don't ever let anyone tell you that war is glorious or noble or anything but hell. Promise me." He stared at me, then nodded slowly. Went inside. Didn't try to talk to me about the war again. I'd killed his hero worship. Good. Better he learn the truth now than learn it the way I did. The town threw a parade, welcomed home the veterans, all 15 of us who'd made it back. 3 hadn't. Their names were on a memorial they'd erected in the town square. Gold stars, honored dead. I stood with the other veterans while the band played and the mayor gave speeches about sacrifice and duty and the American spirit, about how we'd saved the world, how we were heroes, how we'd done our part. I looked at the other men, saw the same emptiness in their eyes, the same disconnection. We were all thinking the same thing. You have no idea what you're talking about. After the parade, they had a picnic, the whole town, celebrating victory, peace, the future, children running around, people laughing, life going on like nothing had happened. I couldn't stay. Made an excuse. Walked home alone while everyone else celebrated. My father found me later, sitting in the backyard, staring at nothing. "You left early," he said. "Yeah." He sat down next to me. Didn't speak for a long time. Just sat. Finally, Your uncle fought in the Great War. France. 1918. He came back different, too. I looked at him. He'd never mentioned this before. He couldn't adjust, couldn't find his place, drank for a while, got angry, pushed everyone away. He paused. He killed himself in 1923, shotgun in the barn. My older brother, I found him. The words hung in the air, a warning, a plea. I'm not going to do that, I said. Good. He put his hand on my shoulder, squeezed. But son, you need to find a way to live. Because this, he gestured at me, at the state I was in, this isn't living. He was right. But knowing it and fixing it were two different things. I tried to find work. My father offered me a job at the hardware store. I lasted a week, couldn't handle it. The small talk with customers, the trivial concerns, someone upset about a broken rake, someone complaining about paint prices. Did they not understand? Did they not know that men were dying for reasons that mattered while they worried about hardware? I knew it was irrational, knew their lives mattered too, knew the world had to keep turning, but I couldn't make myself care about their problems. I tried construction, physical labor, thought maybe that would help, tire me out, give me purpose. But the loud noises triggered something. A compressor backfiring sounded like artillery. I hit the ground, covered my head. Everyone stared. I walked off the job, never went back. The nightmares got worse, every night, sometimes multiple times a night. I'd wake up screaming, covered in sweat. My mother would come running. After the third time, she stopped, just lay in her room and cried. I could hear her through the walls. I was destroying them. My presence in the house was killing them slowly. But I didn't know how to stop, didn't know how to be different. I started drinking, not much at first. Just a beer to help me sleep. Then 2 beers, then whiskey. It helped. Numbed things. Made the memories less sharp. Made the guilt less crushing. One night I got drunk at the local bar. Really drunk. Started talking. Told stories, real stories. About the fighting. About Eddie dying in my arms. About Jack stepping on that mine. About the camps we'd liberated. About the things I'd seen. The bar went quiet. Everyone staring at me. Horror on their faces. The bartender asked me to leave. Said I was upsetting people. Upsetting them. I was telling the truth, and it was upsetting them. I left. Walked home in the dark. Realized something. They didn't want to know. Didn't want to hear it. Wanted the sanitized version. The movie version. The hero version. Not the truth. Never the truth. I met a girl, Sarah. We'd gone to high school together. She'd waited for me. Written me letters during the war. Told me she loved me. That she wanted to marry me when I got home. I tried. Really tried. Took her to dinner. To the movies. Went through the motions of courting. She was sweet. Patient. Understanding. Or tried to be. But I couldn't connect. Couldn't feel what I was supposed to feel. Couldn't imagine a future with her. Couldn't imagine any future at all. She asked me once what was wrong, why I was so distant, so cold. I'm not the person you thought I was, I told her. That person died over there. I'm sorry. She cried, said she still loved me, that we could work through it, that I just needed time. But time wasn't going to fix this. Time wasn't going to bring back the William Hayes she'd fallen in love with. That William was gone, buried in France, or Germany, or somewhere along the way. I broke it off, saw the relief in her eyes even as she protested. She knew too, knew it was hopeless. My mother tried to get me to see a doctor. You're not well, William, she said. You need help. There's no help for this, I said. And there has to be. Other men came back, Other men adjusted. Did they? Or are they just better at pretending? She had no answer for that. I started taking long walks, away from town, into the woods, miles and miles. Sometimes I'd be gone all day. My parents would worry. But I needed the solitude, needed to be away from people and their expectations and their disappointment. In the woods, I could breathe, could think, could remember without judgment. Eddie, Jack, Sam, all the others. I'd say their names out loud, make sure someone remembered, make sure they weren't forgotten. Sometimes I'd sit for hours, just sit, watching the trees, the sky, trying to find peace, never finding it, just finding emptiness. I thought about my father's brother, the uncle I'd never met, the one who couldn't find a way to live with what he'd seen, who'd taken the easy way out. I understood him now, understood the appeal of silence, of ending, of not having to carry this weight anymore. But I couldn't do it, wouldn't do it, because that would mean they won, the war, the death, the destruction. If I killed myself, they'd have killed me, just taken longer. So I kept going, kept walking, kept breathing, kept existing, not living, just existing. There's a difference. 6 months after coming home, I met another veteran, Frank Sullivan. He'd been in the Pacific, Guadalcanal, Okinawa, seen his own version of hell. We ran into each other at the VA office, both there for the same reason. Couldn't sleep, couldn't adjust, couldn't function. They gave us both the same pamphlets, the same advice. Find a routine, stay busy, talk to family, all useless. We got coffee afterward, didn't plan to. Just happened. Sat in a diner and didn't talk. Just sat. And somehow in that silence there was understanding. You too? He finally said. Yeah, me too. That was it. That was all we needed to say. He knew. I knew. We both knew what the other was carrying, what the other couldn't put down. We started meeting regularly, once a week, sometimes twice. Sometimes we'd talk. Sometimes we'd just sit. He told me about the island fighting, the caves, the Banzai charges, the things he'd had to do. I told him about Europe, the hedgerows, the camps, the things I couldn't forget. Neither of us tried to one-up the other. Wasn't a competition. We'd both seen enough, both lost enough, both come back as different people. My wife left me, he said one day. Took the kids. Said she couldn't live with a stranger. I'm sorry. Don't be. She was right. I am a stranger, even to myself. Through Frank, I met others. There were more of us than I'd thought. Men who'd come home but hadn't really come home. Men who went through the motions but felt nothing. Men who were slowly drowning in memories and guilt and the weight of survival. We'd gather sometimes. No formal group, no meetings, just guys sitting around, drinking coffee or beer or whiskey, talking or not talking, just being around people who understood. There was Joe, who'd been a bomber pilot, flew 30 missions over Germany, watched his friends' planes explode, watched cities burn, came home to a wife who wanted him to forget it all and be the man she'd married. He couldn't. She left. He didn't blame her. There was Mike, who'd been at D-Day, Omaha Beach, one of the few from his company who made it off that beach. He had nightmares so bad he'd broken his wife's nose thrashing in his sleep. Now he slept in the garage, alone, safer that way. There was Pete, who'd liberated a concentration camp. He didn't talk much, just drank. When he did talk, it was about the things he'd seen, the things that convinced him humanity was a failed experiment, that we were all monsters pretending to be civilized. We were all damaged, all broken, all trying to figure out how to live in a world that didn't want to hear what we had to say. The town didn't understand us, called us troubled, problem veterans, shell-shocked, said we needed to snap out of it, get over it, move on. After all, the war was over. We'd won. What more did we want? We wanted to not remember. We wanted to sleep without nightmares. We wanted to look at our families without feeling guilty for surviving. We wanted to go one day without hearing the screams or smelling the blood or seeing the faces of the dead. But we couldn't have any of that. So we had each other, and coffee, and silence that understood more than words ever could. Frank got me a job. His uncle owned a lumber yard, needed workers, manual labor, outside, away from people mostly. I took it, lasted longer than the other jobs, 3 months, then 4, then 6. It wasn't that I liked it. I didn't like anything, but I could tolerate it, could lose myself in the physical work, could focus on the immediate task, lift, carry, stack, repeat, don't think, just do. My parents noticed the change, subtle. I was still distant, still broken, but functioning, barely, but functioning nonetheless. "I'm glad you found those friends," my mother said one evening. Friends. I suppose that's what they were, though it was a friendship born of shared trauma rather than shared interests, bound by pain rather than pleasure. "They understand," I said. First real conversation I'd had with her in months. What do they understand? I looked at her, wanted to explain, wanted to make her see. But how? How do you explain to someone who wasn't there, who didn't see, who didn't do? "That we can't come home," I finally said. "That whoever we were before is gone. That we're trying to figure out how to be someone new, someone who can live with what we know, what we've seen, what we've done." She was quiet for a long moment. "Will you ever be happy again?" "I don't know. Maybe happy isn't possible anymore. Maybe the best I can hope for is okay. Maybe that's enough." "It's not enough. You deserve more." "Deserve has nothing to do with it. Eddie deserved more. He deserved to live, to go home to his family, to have a future. He got a grave in Belgium. I got to live. I didn't deserve it more than he did. But here I am, so I keep going, because the alternative is letting his death mean nothing." She started crying, quietly. I wanted to comfort her, wanted to hug her like I used to, but I couldn't. Couldn't cross that distance. Couldn't be that person anymore. So I just sat there. And she cried. And we were both alone in the same room. That night, in our informal gathering at the diner, I told the guys about the conversation. "My old man asked me the same thing," Mike said. "When was I going to be normal again?" I told him normal died at Omaha Beach. This is what I am now. "My sister keeps trying to set me up," Joe added. "Says I need to find a nice girl, settle down, like that'll fix everything, like a wife and kids will make me forget." "Would be nice, though," Pete said quietly, "to forget, even for a day." We all nodded. Would be nice, would be impossible, but nice to imagine. "So what do we do?" Frank asked. "Just keep going? Keep pretending we're alive?" "What choice do we have?" I said. "We survived. That's what survivors do. They survive, even when they don't want to. Grim, but true. We were survivors, not by choice, not by virtue, just by random chance and dumb luck. And now we had to figure out what to do with the lives we didn't ask for. Lives bought with the blood of better men. So we kept going, kept meeting, kept pretending, kept surviving. Because that's all we knew how to do. It happened on a Tuesday in March 1947, 18 months after coming home. I thought I was managing, thought I was holding it together. I was wrong. I was at work, stacking lumber, routine task, something I'd done 1,000 times. Then a truck backfired, loud, sharp, sudden. I was on the ground before I realized I'd moved, covering my head, waiting for the shells, waiting for the screaming, waiting for the death. But there were no shells. Just a backfire, just a truck, just a normal Tuesday at the lumber yard. I looked up. Everyone was staring, some concerned, some confused, some amused, like it was funny, like my terror was entertainment. "You all right there, Bill?" the foreman called out. I couldn't answer, couldn't breathe. My heart was racing. My hands were shaking. I was back there, back in the forest, back in the fighting. Eddie was dying. Jack was gone. Sam was bleeding. And I couldn't save any of them. I got up, walked off, didn't explain, didn't apologize, just left. Walked home. 5 miles. Didn't notice. Just walked. My mother was in the kitchen when I came in. Took one look at my face and knew something had happened. "William?" I walked past her, up the stairs, into my room, closed the door, sat on the floor with my back against the wall. And I broke, not crying, not screaming, just breaking. Like something inside me had been held together with wire, and the wire had finally snapped. I felt it go, felt myself come apart. I don't know how long I sat there. Hours, maybe. The sun went down, the room got dark. I didn't move, didn't turn on the light, just sat in the darkness and felt myself disintegrate. My father came eventually, knocked on the door. "William, can I come in?" I didn't answer. He came in anyway, turned on the light. I blinked, couldn't focus, couldn't make sense of where I was. "Son." He knelt down in front of me. "Son, look at me." I looked at him, saw the fear in his eyes, the helplessness. He wanted to fix this, wanted to make it better. But he couldn't. No one could. "I can't do this anymore," I whispered. "I can't keep pretending. Can't keep trying to be normal. Can't keep living like this." "What do you need?" "I don't know. I don't know what I need. I don't know how to fix this. I don't know if it can be fixed." He sat down next to me, put his arm around my shoulders. I started shaking. Violent tremors I couldn't control. He held me tighter. "Tell me," he said. "Tell me what happened over there." "I can't." "You have to. You're carrying it alone, and it's killing you. Tell me. Let me help carry it." So I told him everything. About the fighting, about watching Eddie die, about Jack, about Sam, about the other men whose names I didn't even know, about the German soldiers I'd killed, boys, some of them just boys, about the camps, about the bodies, about the things that proved humans are capable of absolute evil. I told him about the guilt, about surviving when better men died, about how I should have been the one to step on that mine, should have been the one to catch that bullet, should have been the one who didn't come home. I told him about the nightmares, about waking up every night in that forest, in that camp, in that hell, about how I couldn't escape it, how it followed me everywhere. I told him the truth, that William Hayes died over there, that whoever came home wearing his face was just a ghost, a shell, a broken thing trying to remember how to be human. He listened, didn't interrupt, didn't try to tell me it was okay, or that I'd get better, or any of the platitudes people usually offered. He just listened. And when I finished, when I'd emptied myself of words, he spoke. "You're still my son," he said. "Changed, yes. Broken, maybe, but still my son. And you're still here, still fighting." That takes a different kind of courage than what you did over there. It takes courage to keep living when part of you wants to die. I don't feel courageous. I feel like a coward, like I'm failing everyone. You're not. You're surviving. That's not nothing. That's everything. We sat there in silence, the weight between us, the understanding. He couldn't fix me. I knew that, but he could sit with me, bear witness, let me know I wasn't completely alone. Frank found me the next day. I'd missed our regular meeting. He came to the house. My mother let him in. He sat on my floor with me. Didn't ask questions, just sat. Bad day, he finally said. Yeah, had one last week. Couldn't get out of bed. Just lay there. Thought about not getting up ever. But you did. Yeah, I did. Not sure why. Just did. How do you keep doing it? How do you keep going when everything feels pointless? He thought about it. Spite, mostly. Refusing to let the war win. Refusing to become another casualty, even if I'm technically still alive. And guys like you, knowing I'm not the only one. That helps. Does it get easier? No, but you get stronger at carrying it, like a callus. Doesn't hurt less, you just get tougher. Not encouraging, but honest. And honesty was worth more than false hope. I quit my job, I said. Probably needed to anyway. I'll talk to my uncle. We'll figure something out. You don't have to... I know, but I'm going to, because that's what we do. We help each other. It's all we've got. He was right. We had each other. A collection of broken men. Not friends by choice, but by necessity. Bound by shared understanding of what it meant to come home without really coming home. That night, I slept. Really slept. First time in weeks. No nightmares, just deep, dreamless sleep. Exhaustion finally overtaking even the memories. When I woke up, nothing had changed. I was still broken, still carrying the weight, still struggling to function. But something had shifted. Slightly. Barely perceptible. I'd told the truth, out loud, to my father, and he hadn't turned away, hadn't rejected me, hadn't told me to get over it. Maybe that was enough. Maybe that was a start, not healing, not recovery, just a tiny step toward learning how to live with it. It would have to be enough. I'm 72 years old now. It's been 50 years since I came home from the war. Half a century, a lifetime. People ask me if it got better, if time healed the wounds, if I ever really came home. The answer is complicated. I learned to live with it, learned to function, got a different job, worked at a small publishing house, quiet work, editing, proofreading, something I could do alone, something that didn't involve people or noise or triggers. I kept that job for 30 years. I met someone, Helen, 1952, 7 years after coming home. She was a librarian, quiet, patient, had her own ghosts. Her first husband died in the Pacific. She understood loss, understood that some wounds don't heal. We didn't try to fix each other, just existed alongside each other. Sometimes that was enough. We had 2 kids, Sarah and Michael, good kids. I tried to be a good father, tried to be present, but I was always holding something back, always keeping part of myself locked away. They knew it. Helen knew it. But they accepted it, accepted that I could only give so much. Sarah once asked me about the war. She was 15, doing a school project, wanted to interview me, wanted the heroic stories, the inspiring tales. I told her the truth, not all of it, but enough. About the fear, about the loss, about watching friends die, about coming home to a world that didn't want to hear it, about struggling every day since. She cried, said she was sorry, said she didn't know. No one does, I told her. That's the point. We keep it hidden, protect people from the truth. But maybe that's wrong. Maybe people should know what war really costs. She used that interview for her project, got an A. But more importantly, she understood. Understood why her father was the way he was, why I flinched at loud noises, why I couldn't watch fireworks, why I sometimes disappeared into myself. The nightmares never stopped. 50 years later, I still have them. Less frequently now. Once a week, maybe, instead of every night. But they're still there. Still vivid. Still real. Eddie, Jack, Sam, the camps, the bodies, all of it. Helen would wake me when I started thrashing. Hold me until the shaking stopped. Never asked what I was dreaming about. She knew, or knew enough. Frank died in 1968. Heart attack. 45 years old. The doctors said it was genetic. Bad heart. But I knew better. It was the war, the stress, the weight. It wore him down. Killed him 20 years after he survived. I spoke at his funeral. Told the truth about who he was. Not the shell-shocked veteran everyone saw, but the man who'd survived hell and kept going. Who'd helped other men survive. Who'd understood what no one else could. His widow thanked me. Said it was the first time anyone had really seen him. Really understood what he'd carried. What he'd endured just by living. Joe killed himself in 1971. Pills, left a note, said he was tired, that he'd fought long enough, that he couldn't do it anymore. I didn't judge him, understood the impulse, the desire for silence, for rest, for an end to the constant battle. Mike died in a car accident in 1983, but I always wondered if it was really an accident, if maybe he'd just stopped trying, stopped fighting, let go. Pete lived until 1995. Liver failure. Drank himself to death over 50 years, slowly, deliberately. Suicide in installments. I'm the last one left, the last of our little group, the last one still carrying this weight, still fighting this fight, still trying to live with what we saw, what we did, what we became. People call us the greatest generation, say we saved the world, won the war, built the prosperity that followed. Heroes, all of us. But we were just kids, scared kids thrown into hell. Some of us survived. Most of us were changed, broken. We came home to a country that wanted to celebrate and move on, that didn't want to hear about the cost, about what we'd left behind, about what we'd lost. So we kept quiet, went to work, raised families, built lives, pretended we were okay, pretended we'd come home, carried our ghosts in silence. I look at my grandchildren now. They're in their 20s, living in a world I helped create, a world without world wars, without the draft, without the kind of total warfare we experienced. They're safe, free, happy. That's what we fought for, I suppose. Their safety, their freedom, their happiness. But I wonder sometimes if they understand the cost, if anyone does. We paid for their peace with our souls, with our sanity, with our ability to ever truly come home. Was it worth it? I don't know. On good days, I think yes. Look at what we prevented. Look at the world we saved. Look at the lives we made possible. On bad days, I think about Eddie, about Jack, about Sam, about all the men who never got to live, who never got to see the world they died for. And I wonder if any of it mattered, if any of it was worth the price. The truth is probably somewhere in the middle. The war had to be fought. Evil had to be stopped. But the cost was higher than anyone admitted, higher than anyone wanted to acknowledge. We didn't just lose men on the battlefield. We lost them in the years after, to suicide, to alcohol, to broken marriages and shattered families, to nightmares that never ended, to guilt that never faded, to the slow, grinding struggle of trying to live with what we'd seen and done. People thank me for my service, especially on Veterans Day, Memorial Day. They shake my hand. Call me a hero. Say they're grateful. I nod. Say you're welcome. Go through the motions. But inside, I'm thinking, you don't know what you're thanking me for. You don't know what service cost. You don't know that I'm still serving, still fighting, every single day. Coming home was harder than the war. The war was simple. Kill or be killed. Survive or die. Clear objectives, clear enemies, clear purpose. Coming home was complicated. Trying to be normal when you weren't. Trying to connect when you couldn't. Trying to forget when you couldn't. Trying to explain the unexplainable to people who didn't want to hear it. I never really came home. None of us did. We brought back bodies that looked like us. That carried our names. But the people we'd been before were gone. Left behind in France, in Germany, in the forests and fields and camps where we'd learned what humans are really capable of. What came back were ghosts, pretending to be alive, going through the motions, existing but not living, surviving but not thriving, present but not really there. That's the real cost of war, not just the dead, but the living dead. The ones who survived with bodies intact but souls shattered. The ones who spent 50 years trying to figure out how to live with what they'd seen, what they'd done, what they'd become. I'm 72 years old. I've had a career, a family, a life. By all external measures, I succeeded. I came home. I adjusted. I moved on. But inside, I'm still 24 years old. Still standing on that ship in New York Harbor, still looking at the Statue of Liberty and feeling nothing, still knowing that home is a place I can never really reach, still carrying Eddie and Jack and Sam with me, still wondering why I lived and they died, still fighting a war that ended 50 years ago, but never really ended at all. They call it coming home. But that's not what it was. It was bringing the war home. Carrying it, living with it, being consumed by it while pretending everything was fine. We never came home. We never could. Because home was a place for the people we used to be. And those people were dead. What came back were survivors. And survival isn't the same as living. It's just not dying. For 50 years, I've been not dying, carrying this weight, fighting this fight, trying to honor the memory of better men by continuing to exist. It's not enough. It's never enough. But it's all I have, all any of us had. We came home from war, but war never left us. And we'll carry it until the day we die.